What is good, people? A full house, a full panel, and a lit show ahead. We're going to be doing a debate show and we're going to be getting everyone's opinions. We are absolutely full house today. It's myself, it is Joe's in the house, Errol's in the house, Lawless is back, LB back in the house, Tobes looking crisp with new Wi Fi and new camera, D here, and of course, little Dan, whose Wi Fi is lagging. I can't even lie, but hopefully we can get him on and hearing. We're going to be talking about the definition tonight and the definition of what a big club is, because our WhatsApp group goes mad all the time without mentioning any names, D and Lawless, about what a big club is and what a big club may not be. And there's a lot of debate about what that means. Is it a big club somebody who's rich? Is it history and heritage? Is it trophies? Is it the fan base globally? Is it the stadium size? Is it the facilities? Or is it a little bit of everything? Let's come to somebody first who's always got an opinion on something like this. D, Crystal Palace fan. You take it on the chin, but you also run your mouth. So it's time for you to have your say, bro. What makes a big club in your opinion, my friend?
All right, I want to say two things before we start. I want to say that out of all the clubs here, Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Wolves were the smallest clubs. We shouldn't be in the same conversation as maybe Leeds.
No. Let's not go there.
It's debatable. No, but it's debatable because we'll go into the history side of things. But us three were the smallest clubs. Can we all agree on that? First and foremost,
Yeah,
okay,
I would agree on that. Yep.
And another thing is, money doesn't mean that you're a big club. Because if money was a factor money is a factor to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a big club. For example, are Newcastle the biggest club in the world now because they got one of the richest owners? No, they're not. But money can buy you success in terms of bringing in quality players to win your trophy. So for me, a big club, there's two things that the most important factors are history and trophies. That's what matters. I know some people want to get onto City about the fan base. I think that's just BS. I think that's just other clubs being jealous of City. That doesn't matter. And also, City have got one of the most loyal fan bases out there because there's been fans from back when they were absolutely awful. And stadium, that's not really into consideration. For me, it's simple: history and trophies. And there will be some clubs that will be bigger than others, but money is money, fan base, and stadium. I'll take that out of the equation already.
Lawless, you're shaking your head when D put West Ham in that category.
First of all, can we all agree? Can we all agree that Palace are the smallest club here?
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
we all agree that by far. Like I said, there's levels to this, right?
No, there's levels to it, Lawless. There's levels to it, Lawless. But you have to remember, this is what annoys me the most when you chat about West Ham, because you've been in the Europa Conference League. I get it, like you've been with the big boys. But West Ham are not as big as you think they are as well.
Okay,
I never hear. I'll give it to
words out, and here you are piping up. I got two words out after your monologue. What is this?
No, but I'm just saying. But anyways, continue. I'm just saying. Like, I remember that West Ham are not. That's the only thing. You try to manifest West Ham being into this so-called big club, but
you're making an argument against an argument I haven't made yet. Like, I literally just, you know what I mean? You're just arguing with yourself. So what I'm saying is, what was your point? Well, you asked me what makes a big club. Is that the question?
Yeah, I think that's what Potts asked.
Yeah, we're still there. We haven't moved on.
Yeah. All right. So look, there's levels to it. Yeah, I think fan base is definitely a big thing. How well supported you are. Yeah, trophies come into it. And then like there's history. There's history. When I think of history has to be more than just winning titles. It has to be being a significant team at some point where, people, you grew awareness, whether you had big players or, you were just a big team within the public consciousness of that. You know what I mean? Trophies definitely has to come into it. So there is that element. Some teams go through spurts of winning more trophies than others in different periods. Like a lot of teams, will sit there and go, well, we won all these trophies in the 1930s, so that makes us bigger than all these other teams that have won slightly less trophies, in recent times. I don't think club size is set in stone. What I mean is you can shrink as much as you can grow. And people feel like they're the same size as they maybe were 30 years ago or whatever. Everton are a great example of that. Everton are not as big club as they were. Aston Villa, you may look at Leeds and not as big club as they were. Still a historic great club, but if we're talking about size, and this is why I say to a lot of these teams, don't think that you're going to be always the biggest club or one of the biggest clubs.
Joe, let's bring it back to Leeds because Dee mentioned yourselves as well. Obviously, I know you've been in the Championship, gone back down there, but historically done some great stuff, man. Like, where do you stand with Leeds and being a big club?
Oh, I think a lot of it depends on age, right? I think that has to be factored into it as well, because there'll be certain people, like I experienced it myself. So coming up, Chelsea and Man United are huge games for us. Some of the fans of them clubs now don't even know about Leeds. Do you know what I mean? But historically, it's there. So I guess it depends on age. So I guess with Lawless, he's like he's saying there, because if we have another 16-year barren spell in the Championship, then what? We're still going to be going, oh yeah, but you know we were good back when Revy. So I think the one constant with Leeds United is fan base. I do think, I know D totally dismissed that, but I think
don't you fall into the trap of becoming a sleeping giant then, no? Like,
yeah, no, true.
Like what a big club is if you become a sleeping giant. I think it's that respect that's been passed down to what a club
I think
has
as well. I agree with you. I agree, Aaron. I think there's a lot to be said about a one club city. Our new chairman called us a rough diamond. But listen, I think the one thing for me, if I would really, really come with chess, but we were cheated out of the 1975 European Cup final. And it still pains me to this day when I see Forest, I see Liverpool, I see Villa, I see these clubs and I think Leeds United should have one of them. And then no one could talk, because that's if you win that Champions League as it's known now, then no one really can chat to you, I don't think, because because I still think Forest are a huge club. There'll be people sat here now going, no, I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I don't know. I think trophies matter. But for me, fan bases as well, because I know that I can go anywhere in the world, right? And I will find a Leeds United fan. I will, right? You know, I've got tattoos, I wear clothes, I can be walking and someone will give me this salute. Boom, that's it. Boom, boom, boom. And no matter where.
Depends on age. I think that still goes back on age, sure.
Yeah, maybe. Obviously, when I'm, okay. But I still think Leeds have fans absolutely everywhere. No matter where I go in the world, I'll find a fan. There's certain clubs, like, for example, growing up, I never met a Wolves fan in the flesh. Now, I do think Wolves are actually quite big, but what I'm saying is I've never met a West Ham fan growing up, do you know what I mean? But I can guarantee they probably might have met Leeds fans growing up. So I think fan base has a lot to do with it, because if they're not going to make you big, what is, right? That's my opinion on it anyway. Yeah, I hope that's a decent.
Hey, argument. Joe, I remember I went on where was we going? We went to watch City versus, I think it was for City versus Atalanta in Champions League, but it was at the San Siro. I don't know. I can't remember the reason why Atalanta couldn't play at their stadium, but it was at the San Siro. And anyway, we was in Milan on the sesh before the game, and we see this little bar down the street. It was only proper small, so we go in, we order some pints, and then some guy ran this, like, it's like two sections of the bar, and some guy was on the other section. You couldn't see the other section, and all you heard is this Italian guy going, "Leeds United." Anyway, we're like, what the fuck? Next thing, this guy, absolutely massive guy, 6'4", something like that, absolute proper porker, comes round. He's got his top off, Leeds United badge on his front, and he's got his beer in his hand, and he's just going, "Leeds United," and he's just trying to put, and we was just like, what the fuck is going on here, mate? And they had like Leeds badges all over the pub and that. So I do agree. You can usually find Leeds fans, but
But you know why I've probably met Leeds fans, and you probably haven't met West Ham fans, is because Leeds fans want to move to London. Ain't no West Ham fans want to move to Leeds. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Well, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That could be something that you can use though as possible London tax, bro. Because as well, you're talking about fans. London gets so much tourism and that you will normally get more fans as well.
And the facts are, I know I've met an Arsenal fan. I've met a Liverpool fan. These are big clubs, just because they've come from London.
Yeah, because they're glory hunters, isn't they? They're glory hunters. But my point,
that's not for me to say. That's not for me to say.
How? What do you mean how? Because you got the fucking glory, and they want it.
No, but
they want
debatable,
that because you want the glory.
That's debatable. It depends because some people, their dads and mums and all that sport one of these clubs and it gets passed on. So it's debatable. But I hear where you're coming from because even the majority
the London tax thing. I have to say this: the London tax thing, and obviously Tobes. I don't know how he feels about this being not one of these super successful clubs, but we live in a city, right? So you talked about being a one club city, right?
Yeah.
Leeds, and same as Newcastle. To me, that doesn't make you a bigger club because you're a one club city. That works in your favor. It's easy to get a big support when you're a one club city. We live in a city.
Agreed.
Look how many clubs are in London that we've got to compete with.
Just as a rebuttal to that, though, like the first time in a very long time when Marcelo Bielsa came into the football club, you could actually go around Leeds and not see opposing shirts. Trust me when I say them glory supporters that you talked about, you know, when I grew up, there were Man United fans in my playground, the majority of them, you know what I mean? So I hear what you're saying, but until recent times because you've got to factor in, ownership doesn't have I guess, an impact on the size of your club, but in terms of like the ownership, making sure that we had stores in the city centre, because there was a time when Leeds United didn't even have a bloody club shop in their city centre because the owners were an absolute joke. So even little nuances like that can help, obviously, the city look. But believe me when I say I can go to places like Leeds and find Man United fans and find Liverpool fans. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I guess I hear what you're saying, but it's not all. It probably should make it easier, but unfortunately it doesn't, because like you say, if you're in the Championship for so long, then, you know, you're going to struggle to draw in them people, you know what I mean?
I think it's a fair point from Lawless. Tobes, Tobes, where do you stand on this one, bro? You've been awfully quiet. What you saying?
I'm just listening. So
you can't talk about trophies, can you?
You want my
Can't help himself. Cannot help himself.
Sorry. I didn't mean to.
He said you can't talk about trophies, can you?
Sorry.
I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response.
Sorry.
So Crystal Palace fan talking to me about trophies.
Sorry. I didn't mean it. It just came out. Sorry, I didn't mean it.
I said it just came out.
I think like the definition of a big club, I feel like it has to be. I don't really consider money. I think that's irrelevant. Yeah. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Like if you're crap, you're crap. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think with this debate, the easiest thing to go off and the logical thing to go off is success. And we're talking present historical success and global appeal, right? So that is fan base, like how commercially successful the team is. So like someone like Man United, for instance, right? They've not won a league title in 10 years, right? They've in the last 5 years, they've won a league cup. I think in the last 5 years, 1, 2, 3.
You won the
last 5 years, they've only won a league cup. Do you get what I'm saying? But yet, Man United, without a doubt, are the biggest team in England. They're the biggest team in England because they've won the most trophies in England, right?
No, technically not true. But
they are the biggest club in England. It's not. There's no.
What you said about winning the most trophies is technically not true. That's
no.
I was about to make. And
it's not about. I didn't say winning the most trophies.
I'm just about to ask you a question. So based on your logic there, then historical success has a stronger bearing than.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said
based on your reasoning.
You've just interrupted me. I didn't say just historical success. I said you have to talk about trophies, both historical and present. That's literally what I said.
Yeah. But then you went on to also say that they haven't done nothing in this present time. No, I'm saying that based on that logic.
You interrupted me. You interrupted me. I said historical present success and then global appeal. So when I said global appeal, I said someone like Man United who've only won 1 trophy in the last 5 years, they're still the biggest club in England. When it comes to commercial deals, they still get the biggest deals. They have the biggest fan base in the world because they have years, literally decades of success, right? So yes, in the last 10 years, they've gone through a barren spell of not winning trophies. But in the previous 40 to 50 years before that, they were cleaning up. And despite yes, they were. Don't do your head don't shake your head like that. Man United have been cleaning up trophies for years. Whether you like it or not, they've been cleaning up.
Didn't they have a
trophies
dark
for years.
spell in the 80s though? They weren't doing much in the 80s.
Even if they
That's
weren't,
what I
That's a
thought,
long time
but-
away, though, Lawless,
even
isn't
if they
it?
weren't doing
No, but
much
it's
in
still
the
40 years, though. It was still in the same time frame that he's
80s,
referencing.
even if they weren't doing well in the 80s, can I just finish my point? I didn't interrupt anyone when they were talking. Yeah, can I just finish, please? Yeah.
Go on, Tops. Go on.
So even prior to this, the 10 years before this, Man United are still the team with the most Premier League titles, still the team with the most trophies in England, right? Still the team with the biggest.
Though. That's not correct. So can I correct you on something that's not correct?
Go on.
Or not?
Okay, go on then. Because you want to
They're not
interrupt.
the team with the most trophies in England. So
They are.
they
They are
not.
the team with the most trophies in England.
Okay.
They are. Oh, sorry.
Didn't
Sorry.
Liverpool
Have you gone ahead of them?
then
Now?
recently,
Sorry,
though?
you might be ahead. I don't know. Are you?
Or the
I think
Carabao
we are.
might have tipped it.
I think
The
just being a
Carabao.
Liverpool,
What about the
I think
Carabao?
we are about 3 trophies ahead of them. But what would I know?
3. What's
I
the name?
got on Wikipedia here. It says Liverpool got 68, United got 67.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Second biggest. But Liverpool are big. Listen, Errol, we don't have to do this tit for tat thing, right? If you want to say Liverpool are the biggest club in England,
I'm not going to
I'm
say
not-
that though. That's not what I was going to say.
no,
I was just
but
trying to
clearly
answer
you
your
want
logic.
me to say that because that's why you
No,
keep
I don't.
interrupting me.
No, because like so. Let me come in then, right? Because all I was going to ask you, not about Liverpool, take Liverpool out of it, was based on your reasoning for Man U still being as relevant as they are and still able to hold that title. Would you place more significance on historical success or contemporary? Which of those 2 time
I think they're
periods?
both important.
No,
I
but
think they're
one
both
has got to measure up more against the other. I don't think they
I
are.
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because
counterparts.
I don't agree with that because I feel like unless you're like a Aston Villa who have literally not won anything of note in God knows how long, decades, right? This is a team that won a Champions League. Nottingham Forest, they've won a Champions League, and these clubs have done sweet F4 in decades, bro. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas Man United, we're talking about a team that haven't won a league title in 10 years, and even in that period, they've still won trophies. Right? So the point I'm making So the point I'm making, contemporary versus historical, there has to be a certain point. Arsenal, for instance, I hate Arsenal, but Arsenal are a big club. Arsenal are a big club, and they went like 10 years without winning a trophy. Why? Because the juice is still there. The juice is still strong from the 90s. The juice is still strong from the early 2000s, right? And they're still able to attract the biggest names, and they have a massive fan base. So I feel like there's a grace period, in my opinion, when we're talking about big clubs per se. Because if I really wanted to be petty and make it historical means more than current, then I could easily make a case for Tottenham being a big club. But we're not a big club. We're not a big club. We've won 1 trophy in like 20-something years. How does that make us a big club?
Okay.
Let's bring in little Dan. Is your Wi-Fi good, bro? Can you hear us?
I'm on my mobile phone. I'm good on the mobile phone. It's a shit laptop.
Sweet. Mate, you've I don't know how much of this you've heard, but there's been some good takes, to be fair. There's not any I wouldn't say there's any wild ones so far, man, which is crazy seeing as you've got D and Lawless on together. But you know,
we never say that I don't anyways. I never say that Palace are a big club. If I give banter, I give banter. I can still give banter to any of these teams here. Just because I support Palace, it doesn't mean I can't give banter. I'm not as foolish as certain people who put themselves in the same category as the top 6 clubs because they have had 2 good seasons. I know where Palace are, but anyways.
Oh right. As if you see this guy, he talks out both sides of his mouth.
All right.
How much shit do we give him going? Oh, Palace, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this. And Roy Hodgson hasn't managed your club. He's managed my club, and he's one of the biggest managers of all time, or whatever the fuck.
I never said that. I never said that though. Did I ever say that? But Lawless, do you want to end this debate about West Ham being a big club? If Declan Rice, hold up. Let me say one thing. If Declan Rice was playing for Newcastle, would he have left to go Arsenal? He wouldn't have, because they're on a projection to be a big club.
They got money.
Money. But they're on a projection to be a big club. You can say money, you can say whatever, but you're not that big club that you think West Ham are. And that's why Declan Rice is right now playing for a big club in Arsenal.
Would he have left? Would he have left under Mike Ashley? Yeah,
he would have left it under Mike Ashley. There's no chance of them being that big club. But right now,
we could get a Saudi takeover, and he wouldn't have left if we would have got a Saudi takeover. So what's your point?
He would have left.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't. Not if we got a Saudi takeover and we was on when we had champions. You mean you wait?
Okay, but that's what I'm talking about.
Wait, whoa. Wait, well, let's put one clown on hold and address the other one. You're telling me if we had a Saudi takeover, we was in the Champions League.
No, you didn't mention Champions League. You didn't mention.
Well,
Champions
obviously,
League.
we would be Newcastle, wouldn't
You didn't. No.
We
It's not obvious. What do you mean? What do you mean? Obviously, you'd be Newcastle. It's not obvious.
Well,
Man City were taken over by Sheikh Mansour, and it took them 3 years to get Champions League football.
Look at Everton. Everton spent lots of money, by the way.
Yeah,
money doesn't guarantee success. Money doesn't guarantee
we
success.
have Newcastle's owners. What I'm saying is, right. He's just said Rice would not leave Newcastle, right? So
I don't think that's
true.
I don't. So if Arsenal came in for Declan Rice and he was playing at Newcastle, yes, there's more incentive for Declan Rice to stay because it's his home, it's his boy. In theory, if he was one of their own and he was playing for Newcastle, it's his boyhood club. They can pay him just as much money as Arsenal can pay him, and you'll be playing Champions League football. Yes, I understand that. It'll be harder to take him away, but I still think Arsenal could stand a decent opportunity of taking him away if they were to put down the money that they've put down now, 105 million. How many teams are really going to knock that back?
Like,
why is that ridiculous?
They could not take a player off of. You're telling me, say Bruno Guimaraes, they can go in and take Bruno Guimaraes.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy, bro. I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
No,
I'm just saying it's not happening. I'm just saying it's not as impossible as you think, right? Because ultimately,
West Ham could sign an Arsenal player if we just paid 500 million for one of their players and gave them silly wages. Anyone could sign someone. By your logic, anyone can sign someone.
Not really.
Because West Ham, because Arsenal are a much bigger club than Newcastle. It means like footballers want to play for Arsenal more than they want to play for Newcastle. So there's every reason that Arsenal could potentially tempt a player like Declan Rice.
Okay, so how did Man City take all them players off Arsenal over the years?
Man City, what do you mean?
Man City when they were signing all them
Nasri and
players.
stuff.
But you're not applying context. But you're not applying context, though.
So now you want the context.
You're not applying the context because that was a period where Arsenal needed to sell their players. They needed to sell their players, bro. The
players wanted to go. All right. Ashley Cole then.
Ashley Cole wanted to stay at Arsenal. The reason why he left is because Arsenal made a derisory contract offer. That's why he went to Chelsea. He wanted to stay at Arsenal.
He was happy to leave.
Yeah, he wanted to leave. He wanted to leave after Arsenal made an offer that was not
because we gave a shocking contract to him.
Exactly.
Van Persie.
Remember, he said he nearly crashed his car when he got offered like 150 grand or whatever it was. He got hammered for it, didn't he?
Yeah, and Knowledge, you're just proving my point. You just mentioned Van Persie.
I'm just saying, players don't all want to stay. Like, players will leave Man United. Players will leave Liverpool. Will leave Arsenal. Will leave these clubs. Like, they're not the same way that players, might leave other clubs.
If Rice was at Newcastle, I don't think Rice is leaving. I'll be honest. I don't think Rice right now is not leaving in the summer. I think Rice wants to play for an ambitious team. I think that's it. He wants to play for an ambitious team. He wants to play for a team that has.
He wouldn't have left West Ham.
Come on, man. This is what I'm talking. What do you mean? West Ham?
Oh my God, D.
What you have same ambitions as such as Newcastle or other teams? You're not on the same level. This is what I always try to tell you. You're not on the same level as these teams.
What are you talking about? We're just saying the fact of if West Ham were in Newcastle's position, Declan Rice would not have left West Ham.
Yeah, but you're not, and that's the whole point. You're not a big club. You're not in the projection to be a big club. That's my whole point. Yeah, exactly. So you're not on the level to be a big club. Yeah,
but it's not about big club.
Newcastle
it is about big club. It is about big club.
Big club anyway. Sorry, I'm not having that one.
Anyway, Little Dan, I asked you a question, and D's voice came out.
Yeah, D wants to suck off Newcastle today, but I agree with Tobes.
All right, I want to suck off everyone because I'll go against. Okay, anyway,
you do because you suck off people that you think will annoy me. It's against me.
What do you think my whole purpose is to annoy you? Why do you have this agenda?
You said that you're anti-me.
I'm not.
You would love off Spurs and say how Spurs are this great team and they've had Gascoigne and Kane and all that. If you knew it would get to me.
Don't you remember at DR Sports? He was telling me about how Crystal Palace players could get into our 11 or some rubbish like that. I don't know.
But they can though. They can though. Fans agree. That's not crazy. Mark Gurley can get into your side. Joachim Maxson can get into your side.
80 million for Mark Gurley. Crazy, bro. Then he tried to say Bukore is better than Bissouma. Good grief.
Decore, who's wanted by Liverpool
Good
now.
grief.
Liverpool,
Good
everyone,
grief.
I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Yeah, and PSG. So if you want to sleep on
Spoiler
our
alert,
players,
he's not
that's
good
fine.
enough for Liverpool. I'm gonna be the bearer of bad news. He's not good enough for Liverpool. Spoiler alert.
All right, cool, but but you haven't watched him. You haven't watched him.
I have watched him. That's why I'm saying
he's
not good enough for Liverpool.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's meaty. I think Palace is his level.
Meaty, all right, bro. Meaty. You got a lot of meaty players. But anyways, look, Lil Dan, let Lil Dan speak. I don't know how we went on to the Corey.
Oh yeah,
Patience, that is Lil Dan. Fair play to you, brother. Fair play to you, man.
Is this what it was like on that flipping group gathering you had about a month or so ago?
Yeah, man.
Pretty much.
You missed
Headache.
out, Lil Dan.
What's the question, Pop?
Thoughts on this rubbish, mate. I'm hearing a lot of rubbish today.
First point there is for me is that the reason why Liverpool are linked to Decore is because they don't want to get Lavia, and they're just literally going from A to Z on the priority list, and Decore is probably like X.
What about PSG? Answer PSG then.
D. You told me Zaha.
No conversation. Exactly. You tried to be smart there. You tried to downplay Decore, and you didn't have any answer for PSG because PSG literally signed a midfielder in Ugarte or however you say his name, and they're still interested in Decore. All right, end of point there. You tried to be funny, it didn't work.
You told me Zaha was going to PSG the other month.
Did I say that? Did I ever say Zaha's going to PSG? 100%.
I heard that. I was there. I heard
links or not.
You did say
yeah, he was linked. So yeah, he had to pick between PSG and Palace, and he hasn't decided. So what's your point? That's
Palace, man. It's Palace.
Imagine how irrelevant Palace are going to be when they lose Zaha. That's going to be.
Oh, hold up, Lawless. We talk about irrelevancy. You're finished. Just know this. You are finished.
Here we go.
Declan Rice was the biggest thing that you had, and now you're finished. You're back to crying about Moyes. You're going to be back to crying about owners. I'm already seeing it because you might not admit it. Here.
Future's bright, man. We got the real.
Shut up, man. I'll go for your Twitter right now. All right, let me go for your Twitter right now.
Mubama. We got our youth team is unbelievable. It's the future, mate.
You say this on Twitter. You're another guy. How many versions of you are there?
Past, mate.
You literally complaining less than 24 hours ago.
We got the future. It's all about the future. What's your future?
Now they beat Spurs. What
was that rugby competition you lost? Like you lost that ropey fake European competition you was going on about against whatever that team was. I can't remember who the hell. Remember he was crying about losing this competition or whatever he's youngsters.
Oh, PSV where he booed the unders. Yeah, that was hilarious. That was funny. You were muddied for that, bro. I can't even.
Anyways, sorry.
Listen, let's bring it back. Little Dan, Wolves. They were mentioned right at the start, bro, and they've won some trophies. Are they a big club?
I'm not arrogant enough to suggest that we're a big club in today's football. I think we fall in the same sort of category as Leeds and West Ham, where historically we've got strong fan bases. We've done notable things in the history of the English football, but having the pull of what I class as a big club in today's football, we're not anywhere near that level.
That's a very sensible answer, man. I can't even lie. But
can we say that history matters as much as trophies then? Because I think history, in terms of good and the bad, so
I think right now,
right now, I think the top 6 that we have right now, I think it's split into 2 different groups. I think it's City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, and then there's a gap. Then it's Arsenal and Spurs. And I think not because Arsenal and Spurs are not a big club, as I said, they're part of that big 6, but history-wise, because of what's been happening, I think Arsenal and Spurs have kind of dropped off in their own little category compared to the other 4. So can we say that history is as big as trophies? Because Arsenal trophies didn't go away, or Spurs trophies didn't go away in the past. But in terms of recent history, they haven't done as well.
Dean, would you not put Villa in that though as well? Because Villa,
no, not in recent history though. No.
I'm putting. Well, yeah, but I'm saying like with Spurs and with Arsenal, would you not?
Right underneath. Yeah, Villa's right underneath. So Villa actually have.
But what have they done in the past 30 years though? This then goes back to
but you can't just be like but exactly. So you talk about recent history then, or is that past? Because how long are you going back?
No, it has to. That has to be. So, what I'm saying is that has to be taken consideration because you can't do shit like years ago, right, and then do nothing for 30 years and then think you're at the same level as you were.
Would you,
That's a whole
do you think-
generation.
do you think City's bigger than Arsenal?
Well, this is what I.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Right now they are.
Not yet.
This is the
They're more
point.
successful in the last 10 years.
Not
they
bigger.
can
Not a
become
bigger club.
Not
no.
bigger,
They're
but we're not. I
bigger
don't
than
think we're not a million miles away, Joe.
No, I'd
We're
agree with that,
not.
LB. I would agree
We-
with that.
we are-
They're not
we
a
are
million
right
miles
on
away,
the-
but I think people live in the last 10 years and go, City have now won a Champions League, so now they're bigger than teams that haven't won a Champions League.
We've got 16 less trophies than you, but we've won a Champions League. We are not too far away.
And a treble.
Agreed.
Yeah, we've won a
Agreed.
treble.
I agree. You're not too far behind us, but you are behind us. But listen, if you do 14 Premier League titles and do 14 FA Cups like we have, then obviously you're going to sit there and say, yeah, now we're there. We've got the trophies. We've done the treble. We've done the European trophy. And of course, you're going to say it's like Chelsea. A lot of people are saying how far behind. People say, oh, they're still miles behind Arsenal. I don't think they're miles behind Arsenal, Chelsea. They've been more successful in the last 10
I think
years.
what you're doing there, Potts, is a bit naughty, right? Is this if you win 14 Premier League titles, right? One, how many Premier League titles you got? What, 3? Like, yeah, you won league titles, but what you're suggesting is like,
so it's only Premier League ones that matter.
The time period that you won those trophies on, right? What is that, like 70 odd years period, or 80
Liverpool went 30 years without a Premier League. So,
but in recent times,
but what I'm saying is you've won that over that. Now you're saying for Man City to do what you've done over 70, 80 years, that until they've done that, they can't be a bigger club than Arsenal.
Because Lawless, I agree. I think City could overtake Arsenal in the next 5 years.
No.
Why are we saying no?
Because
we've won a
for
Champions
me,
League.
it's heritage, man. But I think it comes back to age, man. Like,
but
for me,
what does City have to do then? Because City are growing
City's
on.
creating heritage.
They're
creating heritage.
one at a time. Errol, go on. One at a time.
It's a
Go on.
90s
Errol
thing
then
for me,
Tobes, man.
I don't know.
All right, cool. So
Errol, go on, Errol.
if we're gonna talk about, like, if we're trying to define what is the definition of a big club, if there are set parameters that these clubs are gonna have to hit in order for us to say yeah, no, or maybe. And I think what Tobes was alluding to before was along the right lines in terms of where you're going to balance what happened back then and where you're balancing right now. But based on that logic alone, if you're talking about right now, Manchester City still on a great and a huge club because the history of the past is equal to what they've done in recent times, which doesn't add up. You weren't winning stuff 20, 30, 40 years ago as a club to be in the
and
same
still
league.
now.
And still
it's
now.
like longevity. Yeah, longevity, man. True.
Yeah, but no,
they have one.
But you're picking out a random period in our 110-year history or whatever of 40 years ago. Why not go back until we won the FA Cup in 1906 or whatever? When Leeds United wasn't even a football club.
What Errol's saying.
Why don't you do the same for Arsenal? Why do Arsenal
and United have always been at the top?
Up
Arsenal have always been up there. That's why, for me, City can't just come up and say, right, we're same as Arsenal now.
This is what I was about to say. Let me finish. In terms of what someone else was saying about the big six before, I get that, but the way I would analyze it would be there's big clubs and then there's blue chip clubs. There are blue chip clubs or like a blue chip company that nobody can dispute. The Apples, the Netflix, the
Arsenal are not a blue chip company. Arsenal are not a blue chip.
In football, in English football, they are.
They've never won a Champions League. They've never won a European.
I'm talking about in English football.
So we just forget about the Champions League?
No, then? I'm not saying forget about it. But when
we're talking about who's the biggest club, we're just forgetting about the Champions League. But we're deciding who's the biggest club.
We're not forgetting about it. It is part of the makeup that gives you the chance.
I feel like this is when you watched football. You're talking about their blue chip.
I'm including things that happened before my lifetime. Because if it was just purely based on my lifetime, Liverpool would only. This is what I was going to say. Liverpool would only have one of everything really to brag about. Does that exactly clock the game once? Does that make us one of the biggest? No, it's part of the story. But in order to quantify what the story is, you need to have certain metrics hit and achieved. Just because you don't hit every single metric doesn't mean that you're disqualified. You've got to have the majority of the metrics in your favor in order to say that's my argument. But there are a few that I say are irrefutable. You can't refute Man U, you can't refute Liverpool, and you can't refute Arsenal. The others,
agreed.
There are grown men walking around who have seen Man City win everything and haven't seen Arsenal win anything but a few.
Yeah, but that's now.
That's now.
They're talking about
let Tobes come in, man. Let Tobes come in.
My thing is, we're talking about two different things here. Saying Man City are a big club does not disregard the fact that Arsenal are also a big club. As we said, it's all about how everyone has. Potts is drinking his juice now. He's drinking his drink. Everyone has their juice. You top up your juice, your trophies, your fan base and stuff, and you have to keep topping it up over time. So it's okay if a big team, obviously, but not by their standards, they're not going to like it. Obviously, they want to be winning every season, but to the general public, Liverpool, in my opinion, could win no trophy for the next 5 years, and I'm not going to call them a small club for that. But they're going to be a big club, and rightly so, because they still have the juice. They still have the juice, and in the years before that, and probably in the years after that, maybe they're still challenging for league titles. I don't know. They're still doing something to keep themselves relevant. On Man City, my point on Man City, sorry, on this is, I don't know why people are testing Lewis as to why Man City can't get to a point where they're considered bigger than Arsenal. Why not? Chelsea were. And you know what goes in their favour? Do you know what does go in their favour? Was the point I was going to make. Each of those big clubs has their stardust. Every one of those big clubs, in terms of accolades, in terms of history, in terms of moments in time, has their stardust. Liverpool have won it 6 times. So from that perspective, until someone actually beats that, it's very hard to discredit that achievement on a footballing scale. City now have just done the treble. So when you're arguing about how good they are, or how big of a club they are, you've got to include them in that conversation, because they've got that stardust that not many other teams have got. Arsenal have got the invincibles, the achievement that is very rare. Yeah, but Arsenal have never won a treble. Arsenal have never won a treble. Arsenal have never even won a European trophy, let alone the European trophy, right? So Chelsea were in a similar position to Man City. Man City in the last, I would say, 10 years, what Chelsea were in the 2000s, right?
Yep.
Chelsea were a club that, they had won some trophies in the past, but they weren't a big club. They were far down on the list of teams that had won honors, and they had a clean sweep. And now when you look at the list, Chelsea are what? Let me even check it now. Fourth. They're fourth on the list. So Chelsea, through money, through winning trophies, through expanding their fan base, Chelsea are now established big club. Nobody will question. Chelsea finished 12th last season, and nobody will turn around and say Chelsea aren't a big club. So Man City, they've just won a treble. They've won the league, 4 times out of the last 5 years, right? They've won how many Premier League titles now? I think they are now, correct me if I'm wrong, Lewis, I think they've now got the second most Premier League titles. I believe that. I think that's right.
Yeah, so that'll be right. Yeah.
2012, 2014, 2018, 2019, 2021, 22, 23. I don't know what's that. 6, 7. I don't know. 6. So they've now got the second most league titles. If Man City continue with this dominance for more years over at Arsenal's expense, why can't we be speaking about Man City as a bigger club?
We're denying the fact that they
your
can't.
Key word there, though, is dominance. Your key word there is dominance. Say, for example, now Man City ended up on it's unlikely to happen, but they had a mediocre run for the next 5 years, and then they won 1 or 2 things after that.
Yeah, but that's not what I said, though, Errol. When I said that, I'm
responding to what Togs is saying now. So he's saying that dominance will keep you in the conversation or propel you.
But when I said it, though, Errol, about, because I didn't say City are bigger than Arsenal now. I said in 5 years' time. I obviously meant that City don't fall off a cliff, and then you was like, nah. So if City was in the next 5 years win, I'm not even going to say dominate. Let's just say we win, I don't know, 1 or 2 more Premier Leagues, and let's say we win 1 more Champions League, which is not, I don't think anyone here would say that's unrealistic. You're telling me then City, who would be, 10 trophies behind Arsenal, but have 2 Champions League to the name, wouldn't be bigger than Arsenal?
Well, this is where this was to my original point. What are the metrics that we're going to agree upon as a group to
we're
say?
We're not going to agree on metrics, though.
But why? But why not?
Errol, you know what you're doing? You're looking at the age factor, bro. I think if you ask people that's younger than you, they will look at it differently. Right now, Man City are creating history. I don't know why, but because it's happening right now, I don't think we're digesting it. In 10 years or 15 years' time, when we look at Man City, as we're looking at other, like the Arsenals, what they've done with Invincible, etc., like we're doing right now, that builds up in 10, 15 years' time, this will all digest. But right now, what Man City are doing is crazy, bro. Like Pep Guardiola is coming to the Premier League, And essentially, it hasn't turned into a farmers league. I wouldn't say that because Liverpool have come close, but he's controlled it, and now he's won the Champions League as well. There's a treble on their name as well, but because it's happening right now, we are not digesting it as it is.
So, what's going to happen? Let me ask you quickly then. So, in 60 years' time, Arsenal and Man City don't win anything else for 60 years. Who's the bigger club?
It'll be Man City 100%. Because you know what?
That's laughable, man. That is
rubbish.
Not true, bro.
It's also what happened to Everton?
Right. So if that's the case, then if that's the barometer, right? Forest won the European Cup twice on the spin. They dwarf us all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what we're saying. Forest is better than us all.
Who's talking about Huddersfield? They're three titles from the 20s, man.
I just think it's mad to say, all right, okay, so what's the period of dominance? 10 years or whatever? Arsenal have been at the top for a long time. Liverpool have been at the top for a long time. Man United, as much as it pains me, have been at the top for a long time. It can't just be like...
Yeah, but Joe, it's not just about being near the top, though. It's not just about being near the top. This is why when I said...
I don't mean near as in second, third. I mean winning things.
But
winning things.
No.
They haven't been at the top of the table. They haven't had a period of dominance.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This is why I said 5 years. I'm not saying in 5 years we'll overtake Liverpool or Man United, because obviously that's not going to happen. Because they've won so many trophies that they're the two biggest clubs in this country. But Arsenal, whilst they might have been at the top, they've not had that dominance that Liverpool and United have had in terms of trophies. If you just look at the cold hard facts, United and Liverpool are clear. That's why I'm only talking about Arsenal in the next 5 years, not Liverpool and Man United. That will take a lot longer.
For me, I hear what you're saying, but for me, that's a victim of circumstance, because that's who say, for example, if we take Liverpool, this Klopp's Liverpool, right? And you just look at that as you look at that through a magnifying glass. In the history books, they never win it, and we say, well, they're not a big team because City dominated during that time. I just think there is certain periods during the game where they're a victim of circumstance due to the competition they were up against. Do you know what I mean? Okay, Arsenal might have not won in Europe, but they came up against top sides, etc. I don't know if you can just say
that's a cop out, man. Just they were up against better teams, but you've got to allow them because they're never again.
Flawless. You know what? When you there are certain metrics or barometers that we could use to give us a much more stronger opinion based on all of this stuff. If you're going to have a particular point of view that, because City could potentially do it in the next 5 years, then you're obviously weighing up recent success, the history and the heritage that they're creating. But then you're not looking at the global fan base. You're not looking at their actual pull or the brand that is part of the club as well.
But that can change. That's not saying
that's going to change, Errol.
It's going to change. But we're having this conversation, so you think that can change?
Now kids are picking Man United, Man City over Arsenal.
You think but this is what I'm saying. You think that can change significantly enough in just 5 years, so that if we had this conversation in 5 years' time,
I didn't say 5. I said 15.
No, but
I said 10, 15.
But this has been going on since 2010 now, Errol, since we got bought, though, isn't it? This is not just the next 5 years that this.
No, it's not, mate, and that's what I'm saying. But you're saying it's been on from 2010, so we're already at a point where it's continual history. It doesn't just become a 10-year period or a 15-year period. You've got to sustain that or be at those levels and operating in that altitude for almost half a century almost. Before people are like,
insane.
No,
that's
absolutely
insane.
not.
No, you're talking about your age group.
How? So if it's not right from the 80s,
when did Arsenal have half a century of
from the 80s, from 82 to 2023? How many years is that?
From what?
From like 82.
I hear what everyone's saying.
From 82 to right now. How many years is that?
Yeah, it's about 41 years.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's closer. That's closer to half a century than what you were saying it wasn't. Look at the history of where Liverpool have done from the 80s right up till now. Man U's history from the 80s, late 70s, 80s, right up until now.
Talking about Man City and Arsenal.
No, yeah, but I'm talking about City. I'm talking about Arsenal. I'm looking at Chelsea. All of those histories is from about the late 80s till now is what gives people the most kind of educated recency bias, even though it's not that recent, as a time capsule to say that's who was big, that's when who wasn't.
Man City have already won more league titles in that period than Arsenal have.
Yeah, but then
that's just Premier League titles, though.
But they've also won more Champions Leagues.
But yes, they have. But the problem, the thing is, obviously, Man City can bridge the gap to Arsenal and can even overtake Arsenal, right? But the problem is Arsenal still have the historical dominance that Errol was talking about. When you look at the trophies, Man City have won like 30 odd trophies. Arsenal are close to 50 trophies, and this is despite not winning anything for 10 years. This is despite not winning league titles
all
since
trophies create equal tropes.
No, they're
some,
not all.
How many FA
that's not what
Cups
we're saying. Though. That's not what we're saying. But when you already have the juice, you don't have to be winning big trophies season in, season out. You can win a couple trophies here and there to top it up. Like Chelsea now.
But that's what I'm saying. Is it a numbers thing? So do Man City have to equal just numbers? Like we don't look at whether it's a Champions League or league. They just have to have that magic 51 or whatever the fuck.
No, because then we're only basing it on one metric, which is titles.
That's the point.
But there's more. No. Just hear me out though. Just hear me out, because during that time when City have dominated and Arsenal haven't won jot, does that mean they're poor during? No, they were still massively they were still massively supported. So like Potts might have a son tomorrow and he'll go, do you know what? You're an Arsenal fan, and that's just building that heritage. The point I'm trying to make is like, just because they haven't won anything doesn't switch anything off. Like we're saying,
Palace,
you
he
don't
can
win
make
anything.
his son a Palace fan. What does that mean? He can have a son and go, you're a Palace fan.
No, because what I'm saying is, right, okay, so this is when we're talking about, you said in the last 20 years, City fans have propped up. Why have they propped up? Because they win things. If they weren't winning things and didn't get bought out, would City be in this conversation? No. So my point is, because Arsenal were still at the top end of the league, still challenging, okay, not winning anything, people are still going to support Arsenal. Hence, Errol's point of saying, decades of success, sustained success, and being at the top doesn't just switch off because City have won.
But they had 7 years outside the top four, though. Let's be real on that. Like, yeah, but let's not act like I spent 16 years in the Championship and we're bigger than West Ham. What's your point? Well, listen, you spent 16 years in the Championship. We've obviously now won a trophy. That's the base.
No, but this is what I'm saying. So this is just you and D battering Arsenal, and you're not being objective. You're just battering Arsenal.
I'm not even battering Arsenal.
My
point is, wait, it's not just me. It's LB. Even Tobes has made some points.
Hold up. No, because LB's back in City. Tobes is saying, okay, but it's you two just keep going.
So wait, you're saying LB?
No. You know why you're saying this, Joe? You know why I'm saying this? Because this metric is good for Leeds. That's why you're making this metric up.
That's what it is. That's how you say it.
The metrics aren't made up. No, the metrics aren't made up. The metrics are there as a measuring stick to say how close do you get to that measuring stick.
I can't chat to half of these people. I can chat to you two though.
No, but like
I never said that though. This is what people.
I'm not even old enough to remember this Leeds dominance and them.
In my lifetime, Joe.
Lawless, you're older than me, mate. Why are you lying for?
You don't even remember it.
LB, just in case you felt as if this is a personal attack on Man City. It's not. But if you was to then ask me, what would we have to do to eclipse Arsenal, or what would the things that would have to be? I would have to look at a more holistic vantage point of being able to say, well, I'm never just going to say it and get swayed by the number of trophies you win in the next 5 years. 5 years worth of trophies on its own won't make me instinctively just say you're bigger than Arsenal. However, if you was to then go on to achieve a much bigger worldwide fan base, because all of a sudden now Haaland does become the next Messi-esque player, Ballon d'Or-esque player, and people wanted to be in the drove, City fans, you can't ignore that kind of relevance and dominance.
Had that moment.
That's what I'm saying, isn't it? Though,
Kevin De Bruyne.
Right, but this is what I'm. But having someone like Kevin De Bruyne isn't that though.
But it'll be 20 years. It'll be 20 years.
It is.
But he's not one Ballon d'Or.
For the younger generation, it is. It is.
You're saying that's in 20 years, but we're talking about a 5-year time span. In 5 years' time, it doesn't mean my opinion is going to vastly change to go.
But what will mean, though, Errol, in 5 years' time, it will mean for the last 20 years, Manchester City have been a more successful club than Arsenal, and have potentially won 2 Champions League, have a global fan base. I mean, what more does City need to do if they've won 2 Champions Leagues? I've got probably the best team that's ever played in this country in the current one under Guardiola. Won 2 Champions League and as a massive global fan base. What are City meant to do?
I'm seeing a lot more Man City shirts around London now. Like I'm walking around and I'm seeing them.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think the trophies on their own would be. But if you started to add all those other things, the stuff that you've just mentioned, then there is the argument that can be had. I'm not definitively just going to be blind to it and say, no, they're not bigger. It depends what you do at that point. But for me, trophies alone don't just guarantee you that blue chip verification.
No, and I agree. And that's why I'm not, and if that was true, Errol, if that was true, I would have said that I think City are bigger than Arsenal now, even though we have a Champions League. But I don't say that. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it'll take more time. I think in 5 years' time, it's completely reasonable to suggest that if City continue on this trajectory, and win more Champions Leagues, and we get players like Haaland or Kevin De Bruyne who maybe win a Ballon d'Or, I think then it would be completely reasonable to suggest that in 5 years' time, City could be bigger than Arsenal, especially if Arsenal don't go on and succeed in the next 5 years.
Arsenal have to drop off the face of the earth, though.
No.
Like how? So where would you drop off?
That becomes more of an argument for Arsenal's case as to why they're not bigger. Then it's almost like the ball's in Arsenal's court now. City have
Arsenal
saved
had
up
to win major.
City have saved up this record now and this new heritage. And if Arsenal want to stay relevant going forward, they have to start creating their new history as well in order to establish that dominance. But it's not just going to be, as you say there, Joe, the lights won't just go out. Arsenal will still be relevant. It's just how much
the lights have kind of been out for a while, though, Errol.
No, but they haven't.
I think in certain metrics, definitely trophies they have. But their revenues grew. They went to a new stadium not so long back, or maybe a decade ago.
What's revenue, man? Like we've all got more revenue than we had before. All of our revenues grew. Which team here's revenue apart from Leeds because they've been in the Championship so long? But even Leeds probably. Championship clubs probably make more money now than they did in the Premier League 25 years ago.
But I don't think Errol's meaning that. I don't think he's meaning, Arsenal have managed to.
But you're talking about revenue growing. What's that? That's nothing. That's everyone's revenue.
What we're saying is we can compete with a big club. We can compete now with the big clubs in terms of signings and where we're going. We've just signed Declan Rice for 100 and whatever the hell it was in the end. That's what I think Errol's meaning.
We spent 200 million last season.
So but you didn't spend 205. You didn't spend 110 million pounds on a player, Lawless, did you? That's what he's getting at. Like what I'm saying. Listen, I think there is a truth to the element of what Joe's saying. I think you and D are getting excited about knocking Arsenal. I'm not going to buy it because a lot of what you say is actually fair.
Am I knocking Arsenal? I'm saying Arsenal are a big club, but are there not clubs that can be bigger than other clubs?
But you put us with Spurs a minute ago. You put us down with Spurs.
But that's the thing. But reality, recent history. Okay, answer me. So, since the 2000s, in terms of big clubs, haven't Man City done more since the 2000s than Arsenal?
2010 onwards, 100%, 100%, 100%.
2010 onwards.
So I'm not discrediting Arsenal as a big club.
They've been more successful, 100%, and Chelsea have been more successful than Arsenal as well.
Yeah, I said 2020 since 2010. Yes, since 2000, no.
Yes.
And do you know what? Another reason why LB
they've probably won more league titles. Yes, they've won more league titles.
And also the treble as well, Champions League as well.
Man City were a complete non-entity for the first for.
Yeah, but in 2000, weren't they in Division 2 in 2000?
They were a non-entity, bro.
I know, but I'm talking about but they've caught up though. That's my whole point.
They have caught up.
So you had that moment.
I'm not
they've exceeded you. In fact, they've exceeded Arsenal. Since the 2000s, they've exceeded Arsenal.
I want to ask LB a question. LB, are you bigger than Chelsea?
I would think. Yeah, I think we are bigger than Chelsea.
Okay, so but Chelsea fans still think they're bigger than Arsenal.
No,
they're 2 trophies behind them. 2 trophies behind Chelsea.
Yeah, it's not trophies, man. It's not trophies.
No. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I hear it.
No, I do. I do think. I think we're bigger than Chelsea. Yeah, I do. I think.
Why though? Explain why.
I just think historically, you look at the clubs. I think our fan base as well gets a lot of credit for the way that we followed our team in the lower divisions. I think that's something that's no one's mentioned. If you look at when we was, someone just, I don't know who it was then, said when we was in Division 2, look at the attendance that we got then. We got a massive loyal following behind us. I think you look at our fan base now. Whenever I go abroad, I see a lot more City shirts than I do Chelsea shirts. And it's just my view is I think City are a bigger team than Chelsea. Yeah, I do.
Lil Dan, I know
it's
you've
definitely
got
up for debate.
What you said?
What you saying?
Lil Dan, what you saying?
the one metric that keeps on coming up, and you can't dispute it, is obviously people's trophy cabinets. But like what LB's mentioned there's only certain clubs that could get relegated to League One and still have 30,000 plus attendances every week. For me, in this sort of conversation, in regards to what is a big club, it goes Liverpool, Man United, and then you got the likes of sort of Arsenal, then maybe Chelsea, Tottenham, and then everyone else. Because I feel like since the introduction of sort of like the internet and stuff, you'll never be able to compete with Liverpool and Man United as big because, you know, you've got all the sort of historical things. Now it's like not blood pleasant, but sort of, you know, Hillsborough, the Munich air disaster, David Beckham, George Best, all these huge icons have transcended football. Football clubs in today's modern game can't compete with that level for me anymore. It's all about your trophy cabinet that makes you a big club now.
Can I just ask that? Because I have to check that. Did you say Spurs are bigger than City? Because you listed these clubs and you said Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, and I didn't hear you say Man City.
I think that you've still got the London pull of what makes Spurs bigger than Man City.
Nah, Man City are bigger.
Wow.
Man City are bigger. Man City are bigger than they're bigger than Spurs.
Hey, Palace, hey, put Palace up there. They got that London pool.
Yeah.
No.
No, he's got to explain himself. He's got to explain himself. You got to explain yourself though there. Why, bro? Why is Spurs bigger than City?
We're not. Please, let's not.
I just feel like that's my opinion. I feel like when I was put on the spot and was putting a hierarchy of teams together, Lawless has found a quick flaw and made me look stupid for a quick second.
Even the Spurs fans are saying they're not though.
Withdraw that comment, bro. Withdraw the comment, man.
I withdraw the comment that Man City are bigger than Spurs.
Wait, what? No, you mean
what?
you
No, that's the way around.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Stop putting me on the spot, man. I've listened to you lot for an hour talk trash.
And then, well, look, you have your moment, and that's what you do with it. That's what you do.
No, because I went to I said Liverpool, Arsenal, and then I went to the second row and I saw Tobes. I thought, yeah, Spurs. I'm not even going to talk about Palace as being a big club. It's as I said, it's Liverpool, Man United, everyone else.
Because Big Six sounds better than Big Five. They needed a Big Six, so they went, oh, fuck it, we'll
no, do you know what it is though? Like, I feel like you've all fell into the trap a little bit of,
it does. It's marketing, man. It's
I dare say what I will say this, and I think had Leeds never had their financial fall off like they did, we'd be in that Big Six now.
Okay.
I do believe that. Cool, if we did not have our financial fall off like we did, and we get into Europe the season when we take all them loans that we just missed out on, we'd be up there. I believe that. We unfortunately dropped out. We dropped out. No, but what I'm saying is, and this might seem like a wild take a bit. I think.
Big up.
No, maybe this is a bit of a wild take.
So wouldn't Everton or Villa be in the same bracket for their reasons? Why they thought? Because Aston Villa's won.
No, because I mean, were they regularly challenging in Europe for a period? And
so it was back in the days before my days. I'm just looking at trophy.
No, I'm talking. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think you're definitely overstating Leeds here. I'm not gonna.
Okay. We fell into the trap of all putting ourselves in our respective club shoes and trying to argue the case as to why they should be defined as sleeping giant, big club, not big club, and all the rest of it. But we could have stripped it back even further by just looking at things that actually make a club big. If you was to take ownership of an FM club tomorrow and wanted to start building its status as a global force in world football, what elements would you add to it? What criteria would you put on your club in order to achieve, for you to feel comfortable in the same, to be spoken in the same conversation as Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern, Juventus? Like, there are things your club are going to have to do over, and if you don't want to use 50 years, okay, you can use a 20 or 30 year period and bring your best case. If that is purely going to be the metric, then yeah, City are a big club, Chelsea are a big club, Arsenal are a big club.
Can I say that Leeds have the same number of trophies as West Ham, by the way?
Oh, mate, come on. I mean, if you want to have the conversation,
you're not listening.
but
You're
the point I'll say,
you're literally just listening to respond. You're not deep in anything.
Yeah, but that's his metric.
Yeah.
No,
what I will say,
and
maybe this is
his point. But we have to bring Leeds down to the level here because Joe's overrating them massively.
Well, I'm going to say that, mate. If I have to be fair, as I've got older, started to appreciate other teams more. There was once upon a time no one was bigger than Leeds United, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I get older, I get wiser, and I say it's okay. But what I will say, success is nothing if you don't have anyone to celebrate it. So for me, the main number one metric, first and foremost, is fan base. Because what is the point in anything if no one is there to celebrate it? That's what I would say. And if you take everything away, is there still going to be someone there coming week in, week out to follow that football club? And when I think of City, and I'm sorry, LB, I don't think that pulls it. I've got a mate who I grew up with, whose dad was an Everton fan, right? And he was an Everton fan. And now he goes week in, week out to Manchester City. And I see him on Facebook and I'm like, what are you doing? Your dad must be fuming. But this is the type of fan, much like Man United. I remember when Leeds United got relegated, and one of my best mates who I grew up with he's still going to support Leeds now. They got relegated. Again, it's a certain type of fan that teams that win all the time, they pull in. It's not real. Like when my team lose, I feel
it. But United have glory
I feel it. Just let me finish. And this is what I'm talking about, that real core group. For me, the first metric is fandom for me.
So can I not say that though, Joe? In direct response to that, but what I said before about City's loyal fan base in Division 2, is that not a fair argument to say, well, actually, we do have a loyal fan base?
Yeah, certain, like a small amount of it. Yeah, I guess.
Small. We've got 30,000 people following our club in a lower division. There's not many clubs that can say that.
I mean, we all
you're saying not many clubs that can say that, but the clubs that have that fan base,
Sunderland did as well. I think
wouldn't have been to begin with.
Yeah, but no, because then I'm being attacked by both sides. Because one minute Joe's coming at me saying, now we're successful, you're going to get all these fake fans coming at you. So then I use in response that I've got a loyal fan base at our club, and then I'm like, well, we didn't have them, we didn't have to do that because we was always at the top. Well, then I'm being attacked by both sides and I can't win.
Okay,
I think your fan base will grow though, because I feel like winning the way you guys are winning, especially at a Cantor, you will basically usher in the next generation of fans. The fans nowadays, when fans are watching Premier League, they're seeing Man City with a lot of the best players, the best manager, winning the trophies, winning the Champions League. That's what will make your fan base increase. Chelsea were like this in 2002, 2003. They had a loyal fan base as well. They had a loyal fan base in London, and now Chelsea are a global name. They're a global brand. They have fans all over the world. Why? Because they have had years of success. They've had 2 decades where they've been winning trophies, and beyond the trophies as well. They've had, I feel like, another thing as well, when we talk about global appeal, it's about the caliber of players that you're attracting to the team and the players that appeal to certain continents. Chelsea, when they were winning titles in the 2000s, they had huge players from Africa. Huge players from Africa. They had Didier Drogba, they had Essien, they had John Obi Mikel. They had players that a lot of people across the continent of Africa liked enough to support Chelsea, which is why when you go to African countries now, the majority of the fans are Man United fans and Chelsea fans. Man United fans, Chelsea, Arsenal fans. They are. So who's to say that in 10 years' time that won't be Man City if you keep winning?
Can I just quickly jump in on the chat as well, because they're telling me, right, like, oh, Joe, you're chatting beans on this City stuff, right? Which, okay, but listen, you don't even fill your stadium on Champions League nights, so don't say that, because I know for a fact that Leeds would be queued like madness to get a Champions League ticket. So don't sit in the chat there telling me I'm chatting beans because of this and that, because you can't even fill your ground on a Champions League night, which is the pinnacle. And again, LB, that's no dig at you. I actually rate, I like City, etc. But what I'm saying is you can't say that if you can't fill your stadium on the biggest nights. You just can't.
No, that's not true though. That's not true though.
They can.
We do fill our in on the biggest nights.
Okay, go. Do you, and what I will say to that as well, that doesn't include having tickets being sold on uni days for £15 because I was at uni and you could get City tickets uni days because I know at Ellen Road, for example, or other clubs, there's none of that going down. There's none of that going down. It's like you would. Like,
but that's for like a group stage game against some dead team.
Exactly.
That's a Club Brugge.
What do you mean, D? Exactly. Leeds United, if we were in the Champions League tomorrow, every single game, home and away, would be different.
Why are they expanding the stadium? Why are they expanding the Etihad? Why have they been expanding the Etihad? Why are they still expanding it? If there's no demand for it, then they wouldn't expand it. Because there is demand for it, Joe. It just, as LB said, it just Joe's
not far wrong. Joe's not far wrong. I don't know what it's been like the last couple because I've spoken to City fans. They say it's been stacked and it's packed out, right? But that's not always been like that. And LB will even admit that. It hasn't always been like that.
Yeah, against like the Club Brugges of this world, mate.
Yeah, but it don't matter.
Yeah, but
I see United regularly empty on fucking Europa League nights with 5,000, 10,000 empty seats on Europa League nights. So they're not a big club anymore. Don't say that doesn't happen, Joe, because it does.
Okay, bro. Okay.
And United, but United are bigger than Leeds.
Okay.
So maybe if Leeds say was in Champions League every season, we're winning everything in all the competitions, going deep for a long period of time, and you was against Club Brugge in a thing, and you're especially Leeds, working class area, charging.
What's that about? What was that about?
No, because what I'm saying
are you not working class? Are you?
This guy's calling about the classes again.
What's that about? Listen to what I'm saying.
Working class. What are you? Are you middle class?
No, because I'm from East London. What I'm saying,
right? Okay,
Joe,
so what was that?
It's good because I just wanted to do accent. I do accents. Okay, I like to do accents.
I like that.
Okay,
go. My point is, and you know this, and look, us as a working class fan base, fans have to pick and choose sometimes. You know what I mean? What games you go, it all adds up. Money when you're in Europe, FA Cups, Carabaos, the Premier League, all of that, right? It adds up. So what I'm saying is, if Leeds had that period of being in these competitions on a regular basis,
I disagree, though, bro. I massively disagree because we sell out.
I know you've got this meme of Leeds would take more than that, but
because it's facts.
You had
because you don't have the same success.
Stadium. What's Ellen Road compared to the Etihad? What's the fucking
37 to 54?
Joe, do you know what Lawless is saying? Because I 100% get it, and I think you're missing his point. If Leeds, I think every club apart from City, if for example, I think Liverpool as well, if we had that success of back-to-back league titles, I guess Man City didn't do as well.
We would get bored, is what you're saying, and stop going.
Yeah, it comes to a point where you don't have to go to a group stage game, and I think that would be the case with every other club as well. I know you think Leeds fans
you're going to walk it.
All I will say on that though.
But what I would say is, so who's filling the spot? Who fills the space?
No.
So you know
them. Come in on that. I'm going to come in on that.
Dan, just before, so then Pete, so LB goes, do you know what? I've seen three group games. Who's the next man in line? Why ain't he going then? Because he never gets to go because it's packed every week. So why ain't he going?
Great point.
Because I know that we have a massive waiting list for tickets, and I know that if I say I'm not going, I sell mine back to the club, and it's snapped up like that. So that's what I'm saying. So there shouldn't ever be empty seats. In my
Joe, so you're telling me that I can't go back in the last 5 years and find empty seats to Leeds?
That don't matter anymore. You said
I can definitely find empty seats at Ellen Road in the last 5 years. What I also say is you're also missing the point of City fans' toxic relationship with UEFA over the last decade, in which City fans don't even like. I speak to my dad. My dad would rather go and watch City versus Burnley in the FA Cup at home than go and watching Champions League. And another thing I would say, when I'm growing up, I never seen City in the Champions League.
Does that type of relationship hinder your calling when you're saying that you're going to be a big club? Is that kind of like your little Stardust in its own little way of like?
Well, I think it's healed a little bit over the last couple of years, but for the first sort of 10 years, first 8 years, it wasn't great. You know what I mean? And City fans would regularly boo the anthem, and City fans still boo the anthem, but it's not as prolific as it was. So that you've got that on top of it, you've got the fact that a lot of the City fans. This is also a fact. It's out in the study. City have one of the oldest fan bases in the league, and I say you speak to them, and they don't really care that much about the Champions League. They prefer the FA Cup. Now, again, as the newer fan base is coming through, the younger fan base is coming through, they're now driving the Champions League a lot more, and it will change. And again, this is why I'm talking about time. But, I've seen United have empty seats at Europa League. I've seen Liverpool have empty seats at Europa League.
Arsenal as well.
And
Arsenal
as well. And listen, I've got
Exactly.
to do the supers, and then we've got to wrap up, man, because people have got to go, including myself. But I'll just quickly say on the Arsenal thing, I tell you what, you're right, D and LB. There's definitely been seats empty at Arsenal, not just on Champions League nights either, right? But you know what? There won't be now, because 7 years out of it, I don't care if we get Club Brugge or Anderlecht. I'm there. I am there, man. I'd tell you that right now. That is the whole point. Let me do these supers and then we're going to wrap up. This one comes in from Toby. Says, West Ham fan here. My criteria will be fivefold. Trophies, fan base, match going support, iconic players, total Premier League seasons, financial power. That's what Toby's saying. Big up, Toby. This one comes in from Smoky Settings. Got a question for LB. Says, big up Potsy and the panel. LB just asked Daps and he said no. Would you take Mendy back at Man City? Just quickly, LB.
Nah, mate. Not for me, pal.
Fair play, man. I don't want to get into the politics of that, but I agree. I wouldn't want that around the club. This is an interesting one to you, LB, as well, Kevin. If guilty on charges, does it affect City status? Obviously, we don't know anything.
Ask me when the decision comes out.
When it happens. Fair play, man. That's a good answer. Okay, this one comes in from Barbar, who's not happy with Tobes. Says, Tobes, you just waffled like you always do about 50 trophies, counting Community Shields, Arsenal 30 major trophies, Chelsea 28, City 25. Can you apologize?
I don't even know what this idiot is talking about, man.
He's right. You can't count the charity shields, man. Arsenal are counting charity. You can't count them, man. It's a glorified friendly.
I didn't know if Tobes counted for Community Shields, but fair play.
I don't even know what it is that I've said.
If we're saying Arsenal have 50 trophies and then charity shields are part of those 50, we got to cut that, man. We can't be counting charity shields.
Okay. Baba, thanks for the super chat, my bro. Appreciate. You've got another one here. Saying, Dan Potts, big up. Why do you guys talk about Abramovich's era? Before Abramovich in the late 90s and early 2000s, Chelsea were also winning trophies. It's kind of funny. Of course you were, but we're talking about Liverpool, United, Arsenal, City, Chelsea. Who's bigger and how by much? I think we've all agreed that Liverpool and United are clear. And then there's a debate to be had about Arsenal, United, and Arsenal, City, and Chelsea at the moment. For me, it's Arsenal, but a lot of people believe now that they've taken, the recent success has taken over. Last super chat of the night is from Toby as well. Big up yourself. It says, who would be your top 10 biggest clubs in order? Betway surveyed 3,500 fans, and they said the top 10 biggest clubs are Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Spurs, Everton, West Ham, Aston Villa, and Leicester. All get
that's official. Lawless, you're so shameless. You created another burner account and spent your own money just for West Ham in that conversation.
Betway didn't go up north, man. Betway didn't go.
Yeah, I was just saying, no Newcastle.
Leave it out.
I know, Newcastle are bigger than West Ham, without a doubt.
Exactly.
Well, they ain't won a trophy in 70 years.
Yeah, but they're huge, man. For me, anyway.
But when you were supporting them, Lawless, they were winning trophies then.
Right.
No?
Let all the other London clubs fuck off up north, and in West Ham have London to ourselves. We'll be even a bigger club. Do you know what I mean?
That is a typical Lawless comment, man. I'm gonna have to end it on that.
Well, I'm just saying it's a cheat code having being the only club in your city and going, we're bigger because we're the only club. Well there you go.
That wasn't the only reason. So,
yeah, come on. It's official. Don't argue with official.
with Betway.
You're not. Yeah.
Big up
Betway. Should be there. Newcastle should be there.
Yeah, man, facts. Listen, this has been a crazy debate, as I know it would be. Get used to these people. Big up, Joe. How can people follow you, bro, before we go?
Just Joe Football Show, EFL, man. That's where it's at. Bring it on. Ethan Ampadu, though. What signing that is, by the way, for the championship. 7 million. I rate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The championship moves. My championship club.
Yeah, man. Listen, where's Zaha going, D? Where is he?
He's on his honeymoon. But right now, if Zaha was watching Palace, he would sign another contract because we're 4-0 up against Crawley after 30 minutes. So
that's a big pull. Big pull that you go, whoa, 4-0 up against Crawley. Give me the contract.
Let's all get excited. Big up Tobes. Tobes, I know you got to shoot straight away. Tap in Tobes. Make sure you go and follow Tobes. He's doing loads of content lately as well. So make sure you go over there and see him. And he's got, man, he's moving up in the world. Tobes, pleasure for having you join us, mate.
Cheers, lads. Take care. Peace.
In a bit, man. In a bit. Errol, likewise, what you been up to? How can people follow you, bruv?
Literally just on Twitter, solitaire side up.
Interviewing John Barnes and that.
Yeah, that was quite sick, to be fair. We got that in just at the end of the world in one city. So yeah, just go follow us there, and I'll be back on Redman hopefully in the next couple of weeks when season kicks off. Do some watch-alongs. Yeah, pretty much.
Love, man, love. And when the season kicks off, we'll all be back on this channel, and I'm looking forward to it. Lawless, what are you up to, bro? How can people follow you?
At the Lawless on Twitter. Come and join. You can keep up to date with everything going on, West Ham Fan TV, all of that stuff. I'm trying to take a break from football. I'm trying to not even think about it.
Have you stopped crying yet on Twitter?
On this show. Huh?
Have you stopped crying yet?
Ain't no one crying. Ain't no one crying. I'm just sitting
I don't
back.
think I've seen you as head loss, as it were, when Rice actually signed for Arsenal. Like the fact that you told, I can never get over this. You were crying to me saying you never praise West Ham with their signings. You haven't even made one yet. How can I praise your signings when you haven't made a signing yet?
Can I just point this out? The difference between me and D, right? Tobes' point comes along. I'm like, yeah, Tobes, he's got a new camera. Big him up. Errol, he's interviewed John Barnes. Oh, that's great for him. My bit comes along. Oh, you crying on Twitter? Where's my hype? Where's my love? Hey, what is this?
Well, Lawless, I love you, bro, but there isn't much like what's going on with West Ham. Like, same with Palace. Like, you can't. What can you say about Palace apart from beating Crawley 4-0 right now?
I was bigging up people on a personal level and their personal.
No, it's just funny. It's just funny. You got onto me about not bigging up your signings, which you haven't even made yet. You haven't made a single signing, and you were getting upset about me. But anyway,
Tim Stuyvesant's busy cooking, mate. He's cooking. Don't worry.
Yeah,
man.
you better get a move on then if he's cooking. That's for sure, man. That's for sure. Big up Lawless. Make sure you go follow the Lawless and West Ham Fan TV and listen to him crying on Twitter. Apparently, LB, talk to me, man. City Extra on your own channel. Plug it.
Yeah, my own channel doing daily transfer videos, man, and. Yeah, City Extra, all the City content. Today, man, I've done like 6 streams, and then it's just been mad today with Mahrez, Gvardiol. It's all been popping off, and then our first game's on Sunday, man. So I'm gonna be doing watch along on that on City Extra. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice one, man. Football is back and it's class. D, how can people follow you, bro, and follow Palace beating Crawley 4-0?
Oh yeah, so there's gonna be. I don't know why I said it like that. Anyways, we'll see about Arsenal tonight. You can follow me on at D Palace on Twitter for just general Palace and football chat as well, and Back of the Nest on YouTube and all the social platforms as well for all the latest with Palace. I'll be honest, there isn't much going on right now apart from beating Crawley 4-0. I think that's a highlight so far this summer, but. If you want to see our reaction to that, then feel free. Then feel free.
We will be seeing your reaction to Zaha leaving your club. So keep
shut
up.
You've been crying. Don't act like now your tears are gone away. Don't act.
I'm promoting you. I'm promoting your channel, man. I'm saying like if you want to find out how Palace has been about
because there's a good chance he ends up signing. You do know that, Lawless. You do know that there's a good chance he ends up staying at Palace. What are you gonna say then when he ends up staying?
We'll see.
You're gonna be signing like you are right now. Anyways, exactly. That's it.
It's a big chance. Crawley, mate.
Yeah. Big things. It's not about Crawley. It's not about Crawley though, is it? It's about Roy and Roy Hodgson versus David.
Oh, Roy.
Interesting.
Roy, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You two better hope, by the way, when the season starts, you two better hope you don't lose to each other. You need 2 draws just to keep.
Hold up, this guy needs to apologize before we actually go, because last season he said that West Ham will finish above Palace. It didn't happen. That West Ham will beat Palace. It didn't happen on 2 occasions. So where's the apology, Lawless?
Do you know where my apology is? It's called a trophy. Pretend this is a trophy. I ain't got.
You got a vase. You got a vase or a vase, whichever way you want to pronounce it. That's what you got.
Oh, there's a bottle of rum in it, and a bottle of what is that? A bottle of rum.
Sorry, I didn't realize we were criticizing shapes of trophies. I didn't realize the shape of the trophy.
Trophies have handles, bro. Handle that.
Don't worry, Lawless. Next season we
need a handle police or something. You need a handle police. Yeah?
Handle police.
I don't want to have another hour debate on.
What are you? And I was like, But has yours got handles though? That's what he's asking.
Oh, you know what's bad?
Has yours got handles?
You can ask right now, Declan Rice, because he's walked into a team with a lot of trophies, so he's the right man. He's the right man to talk about trophies.
He looks beautiful with that shirt on, man. I can't lie. He actually looks sexy with that shirt on, man.
He suits it.
That dead shirt you brought out with the fucking blue lines on it and holes in it.
Yeah, you know what? No, I'll take an L on that one because that is a shocking away kit. But the home kit looks beautiful, man. I can't lie. We're going to wrap it up. Otherwise, we're going to be chatting for hours. Big up everyone for watching. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you go follow these guys on socials. Make sure you support their content as well. All of them have got their own channels or they support other channels. So make sure that you do that. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. We're getting very, very close to 11K. So let's make sure that we can get that, people. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal. Take care.
Right.